It's time again for the Insiders with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.
Hi, I'm Chuck Chvala, former Senate Majority Leader.
And I'm Scott Jensen, former Assembly Speaker.
Well, and we're the Insiders. So, Scott, the Van Orden race is definitely the most competitive and interesting race in the state of Wisconsin for Congress. And the president was in not long ago touting Representative Van Orden. I wonder whether that works for him. They're trying to do a variety of things to try and shore him up. Is there anything that could save Congressman Van Orden, given his problems in the past and the fact that Trump coming in to help him is probably hurting him as much as it's helping him? What's your take?
Well, I think it's not only the most competitive race in Wisconsin for Congress, it is one of the most competitive races in the nation for it. And you are seeing national figures coming in. You will be seeing incredible amounts of national money coming into this race. And you have two people who are trying to tell folks, I'm the local person. In the meantime, there'll be all these attack ads coming from national organizations sweeping across a district. And the question is, I think, where will the swing voters in Western Wisconsin go? Who will they think represents them? You know, the Cook is going to try to say that, I'm a local woman who has a side gig as a waitress to make ends meet. I understand your concerns. And the Republicans will say, the heck you are. You're a DC political operative who moved back to run for this office. And Van Orden's, going to be attacked for being not polite, the kind of guy who's a rabble rouser. But I think he's going to be saying to people, we're in a fight for our lives here. Our way of life in Western Wisconsin is endangered. So who do you want to send into that fight? The war hero Navy SEAL or the woman who's a DC political operative? It's going to be extraordinarily close. It'll be interesting to see who gets the edge on that message.
Well, I think the problem that Republicans have is the fact that Donald Trump shows up on a farm to try to tout Van Orden. And what are farmers doing? If you think it's bad what gas prices are right now, talk to farmers. And I was on a farm recently, a dairy farm. Talk to them about the diesel prices that are out there. Talk to them about the fertilizer prices. I mean, Van Orden is caught in a perfect storm, and he's part of it. I mean, he's not just not very civil and sociable. I mean, he's going after people sitting in the Capitol Rotunda trying to take a picture. He's had multiple instances where he's out of touch. He's with Trump 100%. And this is a year where Trump is really underwater. So, I mean, it's like, let's bring in Donald Trump to remind people that diesel prices are up and gas prices are up and fertilizer prices are up and grocery prices are up. Derek Van Orden, even if he was a great candidate, would have a tough time in that district this year. And by the way, this woman that Scott says the Republicans are going to say move back to run for the seat. By the way, this is the third time she's run for that seat. So she's been back, even 6 or 7 years. I just think if that's the best they've got to run against her and all the problems that Van Orden has, unless there's a miracle that happens nationally, I just don't see them being able to save his skin. And nor should they. And she came very close the last time. And that was in an environment where Trump was relatively popular. He won the state of Wisconsin. Not an easy thing to do. And what Scott and I know, and what you should know, is that something has flipped. It used to be Democrats always wanted to be up in the presidential year because there'd be bigger turnout and more Democrats. That has flipped on its head. Now you as a Democrat want to be up in the gubernatorial year because that's when more Democrats turn out and less Republicans do because it's become the Trump party. With all of those things, all of those headwinds, I would, I don't know what the poly market says or whatever, but I'd certainly be willing to bet $100, even money. But whatever odds you want to give me, I'd be betting $100 and then some that Rebecca Cook or whoever the nominee is for Democrats up there is going to win this election against Derek Van Orden.
Well, you are right that the winds are blowing against the Republicans in these sort of districts around the country right now. It's the president's second midterm election, always a bad election for the party in power in the White House. A number of factors have, I would say, diminished some of the enthusiasm from the Republican base with regards to President Trump. So a lot of those things, that's the sort of election where someone does knock out a long-term or a relatively long-term incumbent. The people who survive those sort of elections are people with their own brand, a distinctive brand. And I think you can argue, I do not think you can argue that Van Orden does not have his own brand. People know that guy. They know what he's all about. Sometimes they're not real happy with him. Other times they're like, well, if it's a fight, that's the guy I want in the fight.
I don't think so, but we'll see you next time, folks.
You've been listening to The Insider with Chuck Chvala and Scott Jensen, sponsored by the Wisconsin Counties Association and the Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership.